I'm Justin Davis, and this is Drone Camps RC. Hey guys, welcome back to my Drone Camps channel. I'm Justin Davis, and today we're going to check out something for the absolute beginners, a young person or anyone who just wants to get their feet wet in FPV and have fun with it without a lot of the building and computer tech that goes along with FPV racing. This is a really easy bundle to get into, charge up the battery, and just go out and fly and not have to worry about connecting the camera to the transmitter. It comes with a monitor that's already built into the transmitter, and later on, if you want to upgrade to the FPV goggles, they have those available too for a pretty good price. But people ask me all the time, they send me emails, what should I start out with? What's a good bundle that I don't have to build or I don't have to hook up to my computer and use special software to program it in the radio? That just seems like a nightmare to me. What's the easiest route into flying a quadcopter for FPV? Well, this is probably one of the easiest bundles that I've ever seen come out, and it's actually pretty durable with the little prop guards on there that just bounces off things. So it's very mild to fly. It also has altitude hold, which a lot of people want. That lets you fly along, and it stabilizes the quadcopter front, back, right, and left. And it also has 3D flip modes and a few different modes on the transmitter. So as you progress, you can kind of add more functionality to the quadcopter. But I think one of the coolest things about it is that it does have an onboard DVR recording 1080p, a really nice video, and it supports up to about 128 gigabyte micro SD card. So let's go ahead and take this little quadcopter out to the field. It's called the Extreme V2, and we'll do some line of sight flying, and after that we'll do a little bit of FPV with it, and I'll show you how well this one flies. So we're going to go ahead and turn on the transmitter first. Next, I'll plug in the quadcopter, make sure the battery's in, seated nicely, pushed up against the power terminal, and the on-off button is right here behind the camera. So I'll just go ahead, push that button. You guys can see those LEDs here on the bottom, and it shows me what mode I'm in. If you look in the instruction manual, it'll tell you what mode you're in by the color lights that it's showing. So I'll wait for a sec, and you'll see the quad's camera come up on the screen, and now I can press the red button and it'll arm the props. You won't come off the ground, you'll have to do that with the throttle. So here we go. Now I can see my real-time view, and right now I'm in the ADI. Now right now I'm in what they call the acro mode for this quadcopter, and it's not gonna be like an ADI mode for something like Betaflight. It's gonna be a little bit different. It's not going to feel the same. So right now I have no stabilization at all on the quadcopter, and I'm able to do complete flips. So I'll go up a little bit high and I'll do a flip there. I almost lost it. And if you're flying this one line of sight and acro, guys, it's going to take some practice. A lot of heli guys used to tell me, well, if it's still in the air, you haven't crashed. So a lot of times when I do maneuvers and stuff, I do them up really high when I'm not sure what the quad's going to do. Try to bring that a little bit closer so you guys can see one of those line of sight flips. And it's not a huge, real tight roll, but it's not bad because it's not a push button flip. I'm actually doing that myself. So let's go ahead and set this down, guys, and we'll show you some FPV. And before I do that, you know what? Let's do a punch out. 1, 2, 3. Not scary at all. Not scary at all. So not a ton of punch out with these little tiny motors. These are not the biggest motors. Traditional racers usually use 2205 and above, so keep that in mind. These are only around 1800 motors. But the prop guards are pretty much going to be needed on this quadcopter, mainly because I've broken some of the stuff on another one that I had. So if you're new to this, keep your prop guards on yours. Now I can hit this again and stop the motors. So we can do some FPV, guys. All right guys, welcome back from the flight test. If you'd like to, stick around. I'm going to talk about this quadcopter for a few minutes, and I'll go into some of the technical specs on this quad, and honestly, what makes this one so special and so different from some of the other FPV racers that I've flown in the last couple months. Now, RC Logger, they've been around quite a long time. A little bit of background on the company. They've been doing quadcopters in the hobby industry probably over 5 years. They were one of the first quadcopter companies that I remember coming out, and they used to sell to a lot of RC airplane guys out at the field. A lot of people would bring the RC Logger stuff out and fly it at the airplane field. So these guys know their stuff. Now, what's really cool about this quad is that it's not sporting brushed motors, and brushed motors don't have the type of magnets that these motors do. These have a really nice brushless motor on board, so that gives this quad a little more authority and a little more snap on your yaw and roll axis turns. Also, when you give it a little more pitch in different modes, it's going to help it fly a little bit faster and I think way smoother. And brushless motors are just way quieter than brushed motors in general. I had a guy the other day at the field who was flying a cheaper toy quad, and a lot of the cheaper toy quads have brushed motors, so you can really hear the gears winding in those quadcopters. But this quad doesn't have any onboard gears. It's all completely direct drive and pretty much floats on a magnet around a bunch of copper coils here that keep this motor in motion. So it's a really nice smooth system for this quad. Now, the frame that they've chosen on this one too, it's not a carbon fiber frame, it is a plastic frame. But what I would recommend, and for this review so that you get the right information for this quad, I would definitely choose to fly with these prop guards around it, because not only does it protect your props, it also protects the arms of the quadcopter. So on the bottom of this quad, we see that it does have 2 bolts on each arm holding down the LEDs, and the arm is fastened through those 2 bolts, and it keeps the arms in place. Also on the bottom, you can see where the FPV antenna comes out the back. This is sending your signal back to your goggles, and you're going to get probably about 300 feet out of this. So around a football field away with this quad. This is more of a close proximity flyer. So it's sporting like a 25 milliwatt transmitter on board. So 25 milliwatt in the FPV arena is fairly low, but a lot of FPV racers use that because they're usually flying in pretty close to themselves. Now, another feature about this quad that I kind of like a lot is not only the prop guards help save the arms here, but also these little feet on the bottom. They're not plastic, they're actually rubber. So when you do hit the ground, if you have a hard landing as a new guy, you're not going to break this, and it's likely not going to break the arm because they have built in these sort of shock proof landing gear on the bottom. Now, another cool feature of this is the spin-on props. You don't have to have any tools to get these props going. If you break a prop, if you do, they actually give you an extra set in the box, which is cool. And on their website, they do have extra packs of props. I have a pack here actually in my shop, just in case I break them. But generally what you want to do with these style props is you want to spin them down so they're nice and tight. Don't over tighten these because there are plastic threads inside, and you're actually going to damage the threading inside the propeller. So now you might have noticed my super cool multicolor camouflage canopy here that comes along with it. Another cool thing about this quadcopter is the fact that it does actually come with a variety of different canopies. I think there might be 2 in the box. I got a yellow and a red one in there, and then as a bonus they sent me this one just to show off to you guys. So I was really eager to get this one on and installed on the quad. It wasn't too hard. There's just a couple screws on the bottom. If you have a small screwdriver, you can take these canopies on and off, which is really cool. Now, right on the top of the quad right here, I'm just going to show you where the power button is. The battery's on and plugged in, so I'll let it stay flat and plug it in, and now you can see the LEDs light up, and right now it's searching for the transmitter. So when the transmitter is turned on like this, you'll see that all of these lights go solid and they'll stop blinking once it makes a connection. And now you'll see that it does have a real-time view on here, which is super cool because now it also tells me my telemetry for my channels on here. It gives me my signal strength, and it shows me my battery levels. So if I had a micro SD card in here, if I wanted to record a video, I can do that on the back of the transmitter. There's a few buttons back here that give you different flight modes, altitude hold. It does flip back here. And if I long press the video button on this side, it's going to start recording the video here. and I believe the battery just died, but if it was on, it would start recording video. You also have your mode button over here. So if I press the mode button right here, you have to change the mode before you take off. This is kind of a nice safeguard, because when this flashing light reaches the far right over here, you're going to be in something called acro mode, and that's going to give you 0 stabilization. So you can actually do your own flips without the push button flip on the back of the transmitter. So keep that in mind. If you're pressing this back right button right here, you're going to see that light move across, and this is the total beginner mode right here. This is sort of intermediate mode. It's going to give you a little more angle in the quadcopter, but it's not going to let you flip. If you want to do your own flips without the push button, you're going to put it all the way into the manual mode right here, basically full acro. And I have to mention, this is a mode 2 transmitter. You've got your power button in the middle. You have something here for a lanyard if you want it to go around your neck. And the screen itself, I believe it was around 4 inches, 4.3 inches wide from corner to corner here. Another cool thing about this transmitter is actually, and I'll back out just so you guys can see this, it has some buttons on the back, and that allows you to scan different channels. So this is cool. If you took this to some type of FPV racing event where professionals were racing, you can scan the channels, and you can actually use this transmitter to watch someone else's FPV race. So if you're a spectator at an FPV race, that would actually be pretty cool to tune into someone else's channel. And also, what I really like about this transmitter is it's not AA batteries. I've seen a lot of toy quads come with AA batteries, and that's always kind of a bummer, but this one has its own LiPo in here, and that's going to be a 1500 milliamp LiPo, which is actually a pretty good size for this battery. It's going to give you a lot longer battery life than if it was just some AA's, and then you're going to have to buy new ones all the time, which is not that great. But I'm going to turn the transmitter off, and this just pops out just like this. You have this little balance cable right here. This plugs into your charge port on the base of your charger, so you can see that coming up in the video in just a minute. And later on, when you're ready for it, you can move up to the goggles like I was mentioning before, and their goggles are not bad. They're actually the box style goggles. It doesn't have 2 screens, it has one right in the middle, and it's actually a 5-inch screen inside here. It doesn't look like it, but it's actually a pretty big screen in there. It's kind of going to feel like you're sitting in a movie theater when you put these on. It has a nice little cushion around the front, and this is the softer type of foam that I like, because during the summer, if this was not on this outside edge right here, this regular foam would really irritate your face. So they do have a nice soft cushion around the front of it, and these will fit kids to adults. So I've had different people try these on, and they fit a lot of my friends as well. But the cool thing about this is that they give you 2 types of connector for this goggles. They give you the regular connector here for the balance plug, and that's that 2S battery, and this will plug in, and this will probably last about 5 hours time run time out in the field. You're probably not going to use this battery up in one day while you're flying, but I charge them up every couple times that I go out and fly. And what's also kind of neat is they included this XT60 battery cable, which this one unplugs and will allow you to use any other type of LiPo battery that you have. So if you're already into the hobby and you have XT60 batteries laying around, like a 2S battery pack, no matter how big it is, you can plug that in. So as long as it's 2S, you could use twice the size battery of this and get twice the runtime. And if you look on the side here, we have a little lever right here on both sides, and it lets you move the screen adjustments. You can focus the screen depending on what type of eyesight you have. If you have 20/20 vision, it's pretty easy just to get it set up. If you need to wear glasses, the nice thing about goggles like this are the fact that most people can fit their glasses inside box goggles. So that's a really nice thing for people who need to have some specs on while they're flying. And also, guys, if you wanted to use these as sort of an entertainment VR device, you can also do that, because you can watch movies or programs or play games with this VR headset. It does have a video in cable, and it comes along and it plugs in right here. So also cool that it has a menu function. Sort of, you can go into the menus and change around the settings, color, brightness, and contrast. If it's too bright, you can make it a little darker and change the image resolution. I believe the image resolution on there is also 800 by 480 pixels wide, so pretty good for FPV goggles. It's pretty standard in the industry that we have goggles that are about 800 pixels. And this is the charger that comes along with this bundle. It's interesting because it's switchable between 2 and 3S batteries. So the Quadcopter is also upgradable to a 3S battery version, which is going to give you a lot more power than this 2S one. So they do have that version available. I'm not sure if this quad can actually handle it, the one they sent me, but I think on their website they might have a different version with larger ESCs and motors to handle a little more voltage. But this is a 1300 milliamp 2S battery that comes along with it. It has this little connector on the front right here, and this slides through this trapdoor and plugs in, and you'll see some lights come on here. And it has 2 USB cables which plug into so either an AC outlet or your computer. And this battery charges up in around an hour's time. Now what's also cool about this charger is it does charge the 2S battery that goes with your goggles, and the balance plug just plugs right into the base of the charger like this, and this one charges up in about an hour's time. And these are a few of the accessories that they offer on their site, and also comes along with it. This is nice that they do include a monitor sunshade. This just clips right over top of the monitor around the front and back, and each side just kind of snaps down just like this, and it's pretty easy to take on and off. So it does not tilt though, so you're gonna have to move this up and down yourself. There's only one drawback of this transmitter, is that the monitor is probably not removable. Maybe one con of this system. Now they also give you a micro SD card along with it. It's an 8 GB micro SD card, and that's in the Quadcopter right now, but they also do give you an adapter. So if you put that little micro SD card in here, you can put your videos on your computer and edit the videos that you make to upload to YouTube or Facebook. And also in the box you get a little prop tool wrench, and this just goes around the base of the motor, and there's a flat spot right underneath this prop, and the prop wrench just goes right where that is, and this will allow you to hold the motor in place as you tighten down this prop. But remember guys, don't over tighten this because it is plastic threading up inside this prop and you'll ruin the threading. So just be careful with your props when you put them on. Don't over tighten them. And I mostly use this wrench when I'm taking the props off because it helps me hold this motor still, because there are motor guards around the edge of this motor, and it kind of keeps your fingers away from really holding the motor tight when you want to remove a prop. So this helps out a lot. And like I said, these prop guards are removable. They're pretty easy to pull on and off. If you do crash, they might even pop off during a crash, but in my testing they didn't. But they're easy to remove without tools. They come off just like that. And this is what the quad's going to look like when you get a little more advanced. You're going to fly like this without the prop guards, and in my opinion they actually fly a lot better. Quads generally fly better without the prop guards on them, so that's a nice thing to look forward to. Also, they thought about the camera angle and the way it tilts. So when you first start out, I would recommend just keeping it kind of low, because you're going to be flying pretty horizontal in that beginner mode where it has stability. And when you start to advance and you get in the more acro modes, this camera will actually tilt all the way up to 35 degrees. So it's kind of nice that they know that you're going to progress as a pilot, and they put this feature on the camera. So it also tilts down to about 60 degrees, which is kind of wild. I don't really ever want to fly with my camera facing down while I'm doing FPV. If you're flying from the monitor on the transmitter, this might be cool to sort of get some satellite style shots. And since you're recording 1080p, you can actually make some pretty cool drone videos with this camera. So let me go ahead and give you my final opinion on this. And I've flown hundreds and hundreds of quadcopters, and I've flown toy quads, professional race quads, and aerial quads. So I gotta say that I'm pretty impressed with all of the marketing and research that went into this. I think they have a fun little quadcopter here for anyone just getting into it. If they'd had something like this when I first came along, this would have made my life a lot easier. No soldering, no computers, no drivers, no special software. I could have just picked it up, charged the battery, and went out and flew in stabilized mode and recorded my videos down to the DVR with this really nice FPV camera. So I think it's a good package overall. I think it's worth the money. It is a little more pricey than some of the other ones out there on the hobby market, but the cool thing about RC Logger and Drone Art is if you can't get it off their website, you can likely go down to your local hobby shop and pick this brand up. This is one of those brands that's pretty much in a lot of hobby shops. If they don't have it in stock, you can ask them if they can order RC Logger stuff, and I'm pretty sure they can. Most hobby shops can order or have access to RC Logger, so that's kind of a good thing. And then later on, you might be able to get parts from that same hobby shop. So this is a good bundle for anybody. that's wanting to just experience it, get their feet wet, and sort of see what it's all about before you make a huge investment. Some guys spending upwards of $600, $700, $800 for an entire professional race quad setup. If you're looking for something that goes 80 to 100 miles an hour, you're going to be spending a lot more money than what you have here on the table. So let me go ahead and give you a star rating. Most of my videos have some type of star rating from 0 to 5, and I'm going to have to give this one a 4.0 out of 5. And I'm going to retract that entire point, mainly because I think this one, it is a little bit pricey. I will say, I'll be honest with you, I think it's just a little bit expensive for what it is, but they have a lot of features really built into this, and I think it's a cool product. It flies great, and ease of use is the biggest benefit of this. So what you're paying for here is to be able to just get out there and start flying. You're not going to fly in a lot of wind with this quadcopter because it is quite light, but if you have a really nice day and a nice sunny day, I think you'll have a lot of fun with this one. And this is the easiest way to get anyone into FPV, especially if it's your son or daughter who's wanting to get into flying with you. So a great companion quadcopter if you already fly and you want to get someone else out in the field with you. But anyway, guys, thanks again for watching this review. This was a lot of fun. This was the RCI Extreme 2 by RC Logger, and also on droneart.com. You can check them out in the link below. I'm Justin Davis, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.